Hello and welcome back to Gilatier Games. We're in Soulframe today, and I wanted to kind of cover a question that I've been asked a few times, and you might actually be a little bit surprised at kind of the answer, or the walkthrough that I give here. And that question is about, how do you make a build? And the truth of the matter is, at this point in the game, there's not a lot to it. It's very straightforward, and there's not a whole lot that you need to worry about right now. Again, remember, this is a pre-alpha state. So first thing we do is drop us into the Nightfold, which is our little personal space where we can take a look at some things. Right back in here inside of our tent is this little interface here where we kind of have control of what we're wearing and what our skills are and what weapons we use. So there's two key areas. The weapons you have. What weapon are you going to wield? In this case, I've got the Royal Tines, which is a rare set of short blades. Think like dual-wielding short swords. You can see the attuned stat kind of in the middle there. What it's actually looking for a virtue that makes this weapon work better for you, and that's spirit. And there's a required minimum amount you have to have so you don't suffer a penalty. If I don't have 20 spirit, this weapon will not do as much damage. Simply put, the attack and charged attack values will be penalized. That minimum value you'll only see on some weapons. You can see here on the Riv T, which are also a set of short blades that are tuned to grace. There's no minimum value needed on that. So you kind of have this understanding that if you look at the rarity, that's the second line from the top. The Riv T is common, and then the Royal Tines are rare. And I don't know if the long-term intent is, that more rare or uncommon and rares will have minimum stat values and the others won't. I have no idea. But you can see here is a really good example on the Vetch, which is a single longsword. It is uncommon. You can see it has a required courage amount, and you can see that it's all in red because I still am being penalized because I don't have enough courage in my current build for that. So the first thing that you probably want to think about once you're in the middle of the game and you start getting some weapons built is, do I have a minimum amount of a certain virtue that I need to have? Do I have to have a certain amount of spirit, or do I have to have a certain amount of courage? Because that'll dictate a little bit how you're going to distribute things. So let's say I wanted to switch over, and right now, by the way, there's no permanent decisions in this area. So I can swap my virtues around. I can change my investment from spirit to courage very easily. I can change what weapon I wield. So let's say right now I'm configured for using the Royal Tines, and I'm currently using the pact called Garen Rude. Okay, there's only 3 pacts. Think of your pact as your class. It determines what 3 powers you have, plus your star power or ultimate. And your investment, they do kind of still show an alignment of spirit being the green here, grace being the blue, courage being the reddish, icon here. But that's kind of a little bit of a leftover from how things used to work in earlier preludes. I won't get too heavily into that. But let's say right now I've got the Royal Tines, which is 2 short swords, and we are very much aligned to spirit for the Garen Rude. And let's say I wanted to switch from that. I want to change to using the Vetch, which is a courage-based weapon. I only have to have 10, so we'll only worry about that initial 10. So I'm going to switch over to the Vetch. It's important to note that your pact comes with a base amount of attributes, virtues. So right now we can see my distribution, both what I've invested that I've gained from various places. You can get virtues from motes that you attach, which I'll show in just a little bit. Little modifiers that give you like +1 courage or +1 courage and a grace, that kind of thing. They also come from the base values in your pact selection, and also your account level, which was actually kind of new to me. I wasn't aware I was even getting any from there, but apparently you can get some from there. Some of this we can actually control. So I'm just going to lower this, and then I'm going to put some into courage because we know that's what we want for the vetch. We only need 10, so I can stop there and just leave 2 unspent for now. And also a heads up, when we switch our pact, there's also a bug. After you switch packs, you kind of want to leave this interface and come back in, because you can get some real strange behavior in this part of the menu. You can even get in negative numbers. It's not actually negative, but the UI gets all wonky. So I'm just going to go ahead and swap to, and it's just a cycle. You can see it switched to the Ode Tempest, which is one of the starting options you have, or the Fae. And I'm going to go Fae because I really like Fae, as probably evident through the fact that this bond 28, what that means is it's basically, think of it as level 28 for the pact. So the pact levels separately. And the reason that it does is if we go into upgrade here, we've got these trees, these arts, if you will. They're called arts in the game. The pact has like a combat art or a magic art to it. And you get to invest into various nodes that help you out, including gaining further virtues if you happen to go down this route, as I did. So there's a lot of things that change when you switch your pact. So I'm going to back completely out of this menu so we don't see any real crazy stuff going on the virtues menu. There we are. And now you can see that my courage value is way, way higher. When I play the Fae pact, I enjoy turning people to stone quite a lot. And I also use the invisibility quite a bit, or in this case, turning into a butterfly it is now. And then I also use the third power, I can't think of the name of it, the Phantom Flock, which is the birds that you can basically tell to attack the various targets that you're fighting. So, mousing over, you get kind of more lore information about what these all align to, the celestial bodies and such of this world. But ultimately know that for our weapon, and we're going to go down and take a look at that now, you can see it's no longer red because we have at least 10 courage, and now we're not being penalized. And if you look at those values now on the attack and charged attack, they are much higher because we have invested in to make sure we surpass that threshold of 10, of course, so we're not penalized anymore. So now that weapon, will be able to do its job. If we go into our upgrade, you can see we've got 2 points available to us. I have seen some couple of odd bugs in this too, so just be aware of that. These empty circles underneath are further investment that we can make into these individual nodes. You can see here on Safine's Gift, the first node I've picked, and then I've also already invested into a second node. That's why our third node is getting quite a bit more expensive. So this is kind of how you customize your arts, and there's a reset button to completely do it over again, should you choose. So for example, if I just hit reset, wipe it out completely, I have 28 points. I have to hold down the button. I can reinvest. I do like to go all the way down this line to at least get some extra health because I'm going to be using a sword and I'm going to be up close. Courage is kind of our aligned stat. Like to grab that one. I really like to get into here to this node and buy it up. So I'm going to actually invest all the way in just so I can get here and buy both of those nodes. And so you can see there is some customization right now, but it's not extremely complicated. There's not a whole lot to it. I do like getting these idle nodes. Go ahead and buy those up. So your idle determines your star power or your number 4 power, which is like an ultimate. In this case, for the Fae Pact, it's the bow Danu, which lets you use a bow in the middle of combat. So if you're melee, you can use bow. as kind of an accessory to your melee attacks and actually balances your combat out really nicely. So we've got 2 unspent points here, and you can see that the numbers, because I reset, have also changed, and I have 2 points left. We're still over 10 courage. That's good enough for now. Armor and such, like your helmet or whatnot, they don't really have stats yet. I don't know if they're getting them. We haven't really had a definitive yet on that. It's really just for looks, so you can change it if you want to look different. There are more options than what I have available here. I haven't crafted them yet, though. So let's go ahead and talk about combat arts real quick. This is kind of the second large piece of kind of setting yourself up. We're using a one-handed sword, so we want to make sure we come over here to long blade. They're called long blades, and then dagger covers your short blades setups. So on long blade, we can see here that I only have a few points to work with, just these 4 points right now. But it's the same concept. You have tree nodes. If you like throwing your weapon, there's a little throw section. And then various other nodes that do different things based on how your style of combat is. I tend to cycle powers a lot in between my attacks. So things like momentum don't do me a lot of good when I'm single sword. It's just my current method of playing this particular setup. Alright, one other piece I want to show you real quick. We can go ahead and leave that menu, and that is motes. Now, there's a few things that you have to do before you can actually get involved with motes. First, you have to unlock this NPC, Fenjotar, and then you have to craft yourself a weapon, or you can use a starting weapon, like if I was using the Wasp, which is a polearm, which is what I started with. That is a common weapon, and because it's not uncommon and it's not rare, you max out at only being able to put 1 mote in the weapon. You can see here, slot unavailable for common rarity weapons. So I can never get more than 1 mote in this weapon. Currently, however, we are using the Vetch, and that is an uncommon weapon. So I can use 2 mote slots. The third, however, says slot unavailable for uncommon rarity. So these are my 2 customization slots for my weapon. And you can see here I have Dundress giving me 15 extra damage for fully charged heavy attacks. Again, reason here, it's part of the combination of how I play. I turn things to stone, and then I wind up a heavy attack, hit them real hard, and just try and shatter that stone figure. I also do a lot of counters when I do this kind of a build. I tend to parry a lot and counterattack, so I've got a nice big damage bonus there. If we click on this, we can actually see what motes can go into those slots. I have all but 1 of the available motes for, I think it's for a weapon. I'd have to double check. We'll go over and check in a minute maybe. And I'm just keeping 1 just so you can see what it looks like to claim a mote. Where do these come from? I can show you in a moment. So I can swap those out anytime I want. If I want more damage for when I knock enemies down, if I want just straight up, just more damage all the time, I can get that. The Smite, which is like, think of it as an affliction. Oh wait, no, Smite might actually be an insta-kill. The values are really low. It's a little hard to tell when that happens. I'd have to read up on that again. Dodge countering, similar to parrying. So if I dodge perfectly timed an attack and then I attack right after, I get a bonus on that. Okay. There's also, since we're looking at motes, you put motes in your pacts as well. So this is the Faith Pact. We can see that I have 2 motes assigned. I have this one. This one was given to us just because we were involved in early preludes. It gives 3 stats, and then I have this one, which gives me 1 point of courage. If I click into there, you can see I've got some that give 2 bonus spirit, 2 bonus grace. So the motes that go into packs are different than the motes that go into weapons. Third slot will be unlocked when I reach rank 30. I'm only 28 in my Fae Pact right now. There's also a little interface here where we can just look at all the motes we have together. That can be a little bit confusing as far as, you know, not knowing whether they go into a pact or whether they go into a weapon. But that's all of them. Okay, so that's where we apply our motes. Beyond that, the only other thing you can do is unlock more motes for use. which actually comes from going to these locations on the map and deciphering their names, which you do by finding historical points that are highlighted in like a brown glow that you capture. And then once you have retrieved all of those historical notes and you get the information about the site and the name is fully revealed, then you can come to this interface, hit claim Mote, and then you make a decision that appears to be permanent right now for your playthrough, which is which one of these do you want to have available to your builds. And you pick that, and once you have done that, that's it. That's what you have available to you in the Mote list. At least that's how it works today. And I'm just leaving that one unpicked because I don't really care about it and makes for easy video making. Alright. Let's go over and check the smithy real quick here. I talked about this in my previous video a little bit, just how you craft items. Effectively, you have to collect fragments from chests or completing events in the world. And then once you've collected enough fragments for a given piece of armor or weapon, you can then come in and make sure you have collected all the raw materials. And then you can choose which joinery you want to make the item. Now, I don't have enough Drax. Drax are the currency you can see up here at the top left. I only have 2,097, and I need 2,500 to make the Blazon Placard. If I wanted to make a Juniper, you can see the green border. It kind of tells you it's ready. You have everything. You can see all I have to do is pick my joinery. Joinery is just... there isn't a whole lot of complexity here. For weapons, you just have these 4. Gray gold doesn't give a bonus. Sun gold gives +1 damage. The palladium gives +2, and the Eldor gives +3. And that's pretty much it for joinery at this time. You can later reforge and change that joinery, which reforging also resets it back down to 0 level, because as you level up the weapons, they actually become more effective. Armor, even simpler, in that the joinery, there's only one type of joinery, which is the tri-bolt. And then you have your various materials that you need. And crafting things does take a very long time, in terms of several hours. Once you are done crafting, though, as you can see, I'm done crafting all of these items. The Ignomora, which is a one-handed sword. This is an event mask. Blitzel, which is a bow. Attuned to Grace, that is uncommon. You can tell it's uncommon even though it doesn't really say it down there in the stat block, because its attunement shows 2 stars. I believe that indicates that it is uncommon. And then we have Bog and Myrtle, which I'm real excited to try out. You can see here, shield based on Grace. Again, 2 stars, so I'll just claim those. And now I have them available to me. If we run back in here, we should see those weapons on our weapon list that we can switch to. So now you can see we have the various weapons, and because we didn't invest in Grace in our setup earlier, Bog and Myrtle is showing me that I don't have 10 Grace, and therefore I'd be penalized on using its damage. That's it pretty much for your basic mechanics on how to set yourself up with a build and what you're after. And most everything is non-permanent, so your decisions that you make can easily be changed right now in the preludes to just reconfigure anytime you want and try out various things. So when you start playing for your first time, you pick one weapon, you get that weapon, and you go out and start using that weapon to farm for other materials and get the other pieces and components you need, as well as the fragments for crafting. And then you also have to unlock the smith, Tuvalcane, I think is how it's pronounced. Not entirely sure on her name. You can see it up here.
How can I do better?
And they actually say it at one point too, but I didn't pay attention. You have to unlock her. She's actually a spirit. All the NPCs here in the camp are. These are basically ancestors that you unlock to give you ways to craft and do things. Over here, this is purely for changing the colors of the outfit that you are wearing, which for some reason sometimes doesn't seem to stick right now. This is definitely not the color selection that I had selected before. Just hit the random button here and see if we can get something more interesting. Whoa, too colorful. That's fine. Let's take that.
We could just eat you up.
So again, Firmino is also a spirit that you have to unlock through playing the game, so that you can then change your look. And it's all very simple right now. Over here,
Envoy, welcome back.
his name is Orlick. You also unlock him. He's actually probably the first one that most people will unlock. And he helps you with the lore and the history and revealing the names of the various locations on the map. And that's really all there is to it at this point, as far as, you know, how do you set yourself up for a build. It's not that complicated. It's very straightforward. There's not a lot to it today. Now, this is Digital Extremes we're talking about, though. We can expect a reasonably detailed build system if it's going to be even close to Warframe. I don't know if they're going to go that in depth, but as of right now, you know, this is what we have to utilize within the Preludes. So I'm quite certain they're going to make it a little more involved than it is right now, but how far are they going to go? Can't really say yet. All right, that's what I wanted to show you today. Thanks for watching.